It's my honor, no, my privilege to talk about this movie. We're off to a bad start. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, I talk all things on Netflix and streaming, and today's movie is called The Privilege. This one had a lot of interesting names behind it, a lot of very talented actors. Is it good? Well, we're gonna talk. A wealthy teen and his friends attending an elite private school uncover a dark conspiracy while looking into a series of strange supernatural events. This is a German film, and my relationship with German content on Netflix has thus far been fairly positive. Of course, dark is the obvious one here, and you will actually recognize a couple of these actors from that series. That got me excited. And then you look at the premise, and really, the first 10 minutes of this movie, the way that it starts, immediately had me on board. It grabbed me, not only with its semi-terrifying imagery and what was going on with this young boy's sister, but it also had me emotionally hooked with his story, because then we fast forward just a little bit to see him and what he's experiencing now and the fallout of his sister's tragic death. 18-year-old Finn, he's continuously being haunted by these nightmares and visions and kind of this demonic entity of sorts. But his family, they're kind of looking at him, shooing it off and saying, oh, it's a series of psychotic breakdowns due to the trauma that you felt during your childhood, blah, blah, blah. But we continue to see these horrifying events escalating around him. I also like that it's up to us to figure out whether or not this is happening in real life, if he's actually seeing this stuff happen, or if it's in his head. We get our answers as it continues to go along, and I will just say this without going too far into spoilers. Other people experience crazy things as well, especially people around him, close to him, and at the school that he goes to. One scene in particular in the third act involving someone who puts something into his mouth and jumps off of a roof. Yeah, I'm not going to say who, but that was terrifying. It provided the imagery that we needed, and there's actually quite a lot to rave about when it comes to the visuals of this film. The CGI itself, it's a little underwhelming. It looks a bit cheap at times, but what they're going for with that imagery and this dark, prominent, spiritual-looking figure coming out of the shadows and surrounding them, that's pretty cool. Look, it has the blood, the gore, the idea of these wealthy people kind of living in the shadows, and there are some very sketchy things that we've seen numerous times in numerous movies happening in a very different way, but happening nonetheless in this movie. It's taking those themes and ideas and trying to do something new with it, but to do that, you need a compelling character, and I don't know if I could find one in this film. Even our lead, we see the trauma that this boy goes through at the beginning, and I was immediately attached to him, but the more we learn about this situation, and they just don't give him a personality in general. Like, the writing for his character is so lackluster that it's hard to root for him. There's also an odd love triangle. It's just odd because I couldn't figure out exactly what the point of it was in the film that escalates at a point in the movie. There is a sex scene of sorts, which is absolutely okay if it doesn't happen in the middle of just seeing the scariest thing you have ever seen in your life, and you're just like, well, that's just what do we do? I'm bored. Let's have a sex scene. There are so many ideas and things in this movie. It's a lazy word, but things that are misplaced all throughout this film that make no sense whatsoever, and the buildup to get to what we're trying to solve here. Are these visions? Are these things actually happening? Well, what is causing them? Is it his parents? Is it everything surrounding him? When we actually start to get those answers, okay, I'm somewhat interested, but the build-up to those answers is this jumbled hodgepodge of ideas and themes that they're trying to explore, weaving all throughout this story that never really comes together. Like, this film could have used a large group of people in the editing room trying to figure out, okay, what goes, what doesn't go, whatever doesn't fit, we're going to throw it out, because there are so many moments and ideas and the execution of those ideas that happen in the midst of this film, and I'm sitting here like, you either just took away from the tension, or you made a character do something so silly that it doesn't really fit in the grand scheme of things, and it stinks because the first 10 minutes are genuinely great. Like, I was so hooked after that opener, And even when we're seeing him, coming to the realization of these events and he's struggling with these visions that he's having, his parents don't trust him. You're trying to figure out what's their role in all of this. His sister, there's a little bit of a fallout there. And then they kind of focus on the teen-isms of things, this relationship, some things I didn't really care about all that much. Let's get back to the interesting part. And this black magic, this dark, what should have been the focal point of the movie, just kind of sitting here in the background. Every time we go back to it, all right, I'm on board. But like I just said, even when we're, in the midst of these haunting moments, they throw in a random sex scene. I'm like, that's not fun. Well, it was for them, but. So interesting ideas thrown around here. It shows its hand way too early, which keeps all of these random jump scares all throughout that just kept happening over and over. It keeps them from actually being scary because we've kind of already seen what we're supposed to be scared of, and the jump scares were a bit lazy. But like I said, the ideas are there. So before I give you guys my score, thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below, did you like this Netflix review? And if you like this video, be sure to drop your thumbs up. The film starts with a bang, but is never able to fully live up to what it sets up. The characters are so poorly written, and this makes it hard to care about the story. My score is a 35% for The Privilege. I really wanted to like it at the end of the day, but I could never really get invested in the story that it was telling, even though I could see how some are entertained by portions of this movie. So let me know down below, what did you think of this one? How did you feel? And what scary movie are you watching on Valentine's Day? Because that's the only way to do it, right? But if you want to watch a rom-com, I have more reviews coming. See you soon.